This is the window that will load when you open Counter-Strike Global Offensive SDK. It's actually pretty much the same as any of the source SDK editor windows. And what we'll want to do here is we're not going to worry about the model view or the face pose. We're just going to open the HEMA World Editor. And this is the level editor 3D modeler for CSGO and for Counter-Strike Source and for Half-Life and a whole lot of other Source games as well. And when you're in here, you're not going to get any of these buttons showing up. This is a kind of an odd tool. It doesn't seem to be fully designed for the average modder or end user. It's more of an in-house tool. But as soon as you click new, you get the icons appearing, you get stuff over here and so on. Now in the middle here, we can maximize this because we don't really need any other window. And we can auto size, so that's view, auto size 4 views. So we get these 4 views here. What we've got is a camera view, and this is going to be really useful for previewing our level in real time. Then we've got like a top view over here, a side view and a front view. So if you're familiar with these 4 different views, then working in HEMA shouldn't be too hard. On the left hand side, we've got the selection tool. Shortcut key for is Shift S. You'll probably pick up some of the shortcut keys, but unlike Blender, they're not necessary in here. You can get by with just clicking the buttons on the left hand side here. So I don't think we need a 3D grid on. You will need to have at least one source game installed or source engine to install in order to use this, or it'll probably just crash when you load it, or you'll have no textures over here. So I'm just going to browse here and down the bottom I'm going to change this to dev and find just a basic dev texture, the orange one, and there's a square, there it is, and I'm just going to double click that. It'll change it over here. So all my basic textures are going to have this dev texture on it, which is a good texture to start with for blocking out a conceptual design of a level. So each of these bits here is 64 by 64, and as we'll see in a moment, we're just going to create a very, very simple level. So what we're going to do is start by adding a block. Now in HEMA, everything is either what's called a brush or an object or a prefab. Brushes are these things that we're about to make here. Okay, so this is the top view over here. I'm pretty sure this is the top view. We'll see in a second when we hit enter. So I designed the shape that I want, and I'm just going to make it pretty small. You can make it square just by matching up the numbers, move it around however you want. Over here, I'll hit enter. Okay, that'll put that into the scene. Over in this window, if I hit Z, I can move around like a normal WASD controls. So WASD, mouse look, etc. If I hit Z, I'm free from there. And now that's in our scene, this object here. And it is the top view. That is definitely the top view. So if I go view, I can change this to 3D filled polygons. Oops. I don't want that to be there. I want that to be 2D XY, like that. This one over here, I want it to be, 3D textured polygons. There we go. So I see that as now 3D textured polygons. I can look around that scene, etc. Now to make another object, I'll click on this object here, and in this scene I'll just draw another object, say a wall. Hit enter, and then I get a wall there. Now you'll have to make sure, for example, I do that there. You see that it matches up in these other windows. Hits enter, and then I've just made a wall on the other side. I'm not going to worry about these walls though. I'm going to delete them. So the way to delete something in here is to hit the select key and then just select it over here or anywhere on here and hit delete. And I'm going to resize this, bring it up like that, and go to tools, make hollow. I'm going to use a negative number to hollow outwards, and you should work in factors of 2. 32 is a good base number here unless you want really fine detail. So that is now hollow, and I can move inside it, and you can see that it's hollow in there. It actually may be hard to see on the video that it's hollow, but it is hollow in here. And I'm going to add what's called an entity. So if I click on here, down here, it's actually got that entity, but I can go into here and double click this and decide what I want it to be. So that's going to be the terrorist player, And if I double click another one, oops, double click another entity and change that. I'll change this to info player counter-terrorist. Okay, so now I've got 2 spawn points for my player, a room that they're within, and no goal, so it would just be a very simple deathmatch level. Now, the reason that you have to enclose everything within a box, there is a specific reason. If I go out here, in Hammer, this space out here is infinite. It's like a big, massive void. And if you have any holes in your scene that the void can leak through, you get a whole lot of errors. The file size doesn't compile properly as a map. It doesn't load properly as a map. You get huge memory issues. There's lots of problems that can go wrong with it if you have holes in it. So the best thing to do is just to make a whole box around it and around the level, and either make it invisible if you're going to use a little camera to put kind of external buildings out there, or just make it a skybox, and that'll solve I guess 99% of any memory error problems in here. So this is the level. To actually test it, you will have to, depending on what version of CSGO you have, you will have to export and Valve map files, export it as a map file, and then load it in Counter-Strike, or if you're running it in Steam, run map, and that'll just load it up within Steam.